We are over 3 years into the war now. We speak in Europe that Ukraine's defense is our defense, but it is defense of our common security. We have to stop Russia in its tracks. If we don't, all we do is validate the claim that you can just take your neighbor's territory by force. If we don't defend the law, we validate aggression.
This is my video update on this Sunday afternoon, June the 1st, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the Russian Federation under attack. As I am recording this video, the Ukraine military, they have launched a drone attack on 3 airfields in Russia. They're hitting areas such as Murmansk and Irkutsk. They're hitting Siberia. They're demolishing bombers. We are getting video of bombers at one of the airfields that was hit by the drones on fire. I believe 3 Tu-95s, I think is what I read on social media. And my understanding of this is that the drones were drove into Russia. We're talking deep into Russia. I mean, really, really deep into Russia. They were drove in by trucks. They just drove into Russia, and the drones were in these trucks, and then they were launched from these trucks, and they just started to hit the Russian airfields. Let's see, what is Russians with an attitude saying on X? They hit some Tu-95s at least. Extent of losses unclear, but getting hit in your strategic and nuclear triad assets is pretty terrible regardless of actual damage. Yeah, they're getting hit on their strategic and nuclear assets. That's what's getting hit right now in the Russian Federation in areas that are nowhere even remotely close to the front lines. Deep, deep inside of Russia, these airfields are being hit. I imagine by this evening, probably tomorrow, we'll get some sort of an indication as to the damage that was done. Maybe we'll get an indication as to the damage that was done. But one airfield, at the moment, it looks like one airfield was hit extensively, and 3 bombers do appear to be on fire. I believe that's the airfield in Murmansk that was hit. Actually, I'm reading here 4 bombers appear to be burning. Massive drone attack by Ukraine at the Olenia airfield in Murmansk region. 4 burning Tu bombers. The airfield is home to Russia's strategic aviation. Drones flew out of KAMAZ trucks. A resident of the Olenegorsk filmed the situation above the city. A local resident witnessed how drones fly out of a truck at a gas station at the entrance of Olenegorsk. As previously reported by regional media, the driver of the truck with the UAV was detained. He may not have known what was inside the car. Yeah, so the drones were launched from inside Russia. What we don't know is if this was started as well from inside Russia, or if these drones were remotely operated from somewhere in Ukraine, or possibly NATO, possibly the what was once the German command center. I don't know. Poland. I don't know. But that's the situation right now in Russia. One day before the negotiations that are going to take place in Istanbul, you have what is a massive attack inside of Russia. It looks like a massive attack. Maybe I'm overhyping it. Maybe I'm overplaying it. But I believe that if you have 3 or 4 bombers that have been damaged, I don't know to what extent they've been damaged, but from the video, it does look like they are burning. And I want to repeat, we're getting one video of bombers burning on one airfield. The total airfields that have been attacked are 3, but all the video that's circulating, at least at the time of me recording this video, is from one airfield. So we don't know the extent of the damage. It might be a lot, it might be minimal. Does this change the trajectory of the conflict? No, absolutely not. Does this do damage to Russia and to Russia's military assets? Absolutely. Absolutely. A day before the negotiations in Istanbul, could this have been carried out only by Ukraine without any outside help? Maybe. I'm not an expert on these things. My gut, my instinct tells me no. But people that are experts at these things, and people that do understand how these operations are launched, how these drones are activated, and how these trucks get so close to these airfields, let us know in the comments down below what you think. My gut tells me that something like this, without a doubt, had the help and the coordination of the collective West and of the United States. That's what my gut tells me, but I could be completely wrong about that. I could be completely wrong. But the SBU head, who Russia has said they're going to go after, and they still have not caught the guy. I believe his name is Malyuk. But he was actually involved in, I believe he was involved in Crocus. Remember the Crocus terrorist attack? Nothing really came out of that either. I mean, they didn't catch, the Russian authorities didn't really catch the big guys when it came to Crocus. They captured some of the lower level people that actually, the people that actually committed the terrorist attack, but were ordered to do it. That's who Russia captured. But the very, very high level officials, I don't think anyone has really been brought to justice there. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But this guy, who's the head of the SBU, or one of the heads of the SBU, I read that he gave an interview to the BBC, and he told the BBC that Ukraine has launched this strike deep into Russia. And the operation was called Operation Web, is, I believe, what he called it. Operation Web. So that's the situation right now in the Russian Federation. Maybe more attacks are coming. I don't know. I don't know what is happening with Russia's defenses. Why Russia let their guard down? Did they let their guard down? Maybe not. But a very bold attack from the collective West and from Ukraine. And it looks like it has worked. At least on one airfield, it looks like it has worked. Once again, we have to wait for the assessment and the extent of the damages. And then we'll understand what's going on, or how successful this really was. But the fact that they could penetrate all the way into Siberia is pretty shocking. So is Russia going to participate in the negotiations? Sure they will. I wouldn't be surprised if the Russian negotiating team shows up in Istanbul and they get stood up again by the Ukraine team, and the Ukraine team makes them wait another day, and the Russian team actually stays there a full day and waits for Ukraine. That would not surprise me either. That would not surprise me if something like what went down in Istanbul during the first talks about 3 weeks ago, if something like that happens again, this time in Istanbul, following this attack in the Russian Federation. I would not be surprised if the negotiating team goes there and they're made to wait a full day. And they still stay and still decide to talk, not only to talk to Ukraine, but they're going to talk to the United States, they're going to talk to the UK, they're going to talk to France, and they're going to talk to Germany. You try to explain it. I can't explain it. I've listened to everyone try to explain Russia's thinking and Russia's strategy. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a simple man. I'm not the brightest person in the world. I'm a simple meat and potatoes kind of guy. I don't understand it. But that's not all. That is not all as to what's going on with Russia being attacked today, because it's not only airfields, it's trains that were attacked, and it's civilians that were attacked today. And Russian investigators have come out with a statement on the attacks on two trains, one civilian train and one freight train, and they have said that this was a terrorist attack. This was sabotage. In the one instance, it was a civilian train, a passenger train from Klimov, Klimonov or Klimov. I forgot the name of the city, guys. To Moscow. One second. Klimov, I believe, is the city in Bryansk, the Bryansk region. And the one train was either going or coming from Moscow, and this was a passenger train. And it was moving under a bridge, and as it was passing under a bridge, the bridge exploded. It collapsed onto the train. Many injuries, 50 plus injuries. 7+ passengers died, including children. And the second instance was a freight train. This was in the Kursk region, I believe. And this time it was passing over a bridge, and the bridge exploded, and the freight train crashed. And I believe the drivers of the train were the staff, and the drivers of the freight train were taken to the hospital. I don't think there were any casualties in that attack. But yeah, we had these attacks in Russia as well, and the Bryansk and the Kursk region, they are closer to the border with Ukraine. But according to the investigators, at least what they've released so far, it is that this was sabotage. This was a terrorist attack. This wasn't an accident. The bridge did not happen to collapse because it was old or because whatever. None of that. It looks like this was made to blow up right at the time that the train was passing under the bridge. And in the other instance with the freight train, right at the time that the freight train was going over the bridge. So 3+ years in the conflict, Ukraine has no problem taking out bridges and railways. Russia doesn't touch any of that stuff. They don't touch the bridges. They don't touch the railways. I've heard the reasons, because they want the weapons to get to the east because it's easier to destroy. I don't buy that. I've heard reasons saying that, you destroy the bridges. It's not worth wasting a missile to destroy bridges or railways because you need a lot of missiles, or they can be fixed quickly. Maybe that's the case. I've also heard the argument that Russia hasn't really gone after this infrastructure because they want to keep it intact in case they decide to move west, or they want to keep it intact for when the war is over so they don't have to rebuild it. I don't know. I've heard all the different analysis about why Russia doesn't go after these assets. I can't say. That's a decision for the Russian military. I'm just delivering the news to you. I'm just delivering the various analysis as to how Russia is going about this conflict and how the collective West and the Ukraine go about this conflict. And definitely you see two different approaches between the Ukraine military and the collective West, whether it's going after generals, whether it's going after airfields, drone strikes, with trucks being driven in deep inside of Russia, whether it's going after Russian bloggers or journalists, or shopping malls. And then you have the Russian approach, which is very, very slow and incremental, and it's this attrition style of conflict. Just two different approaches. One is with the gloves off, and the other one is with many gloves on and many, many hands and feet all tied up. Why that is, I can't say. As I said, I'm just a guy with a camera reporting the news. I'm just reporting the news. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I imagine things are just going to proceed with the negotiations. We'll see if the Putin administration continues to call the collective West or the United States their partners. Trump posted a message on Truth Social a week ago where he said that that Putin is playing with fire and that he's preventing bad things from happening to Russia and to Putin. I'm just throwing that out there. Did Trump know something? Was there some intel saying that something big's going to go down in the Russian Federation? I don't know. I don't know. I will leave you to connect the dots. But will Russia capture the people behind some of these terrorist acts? For example, the train blowing up the bridge. Probably they'll always get the lower level people. They always get the lower level people. When it comes to the very high up officials, something tells me that there's been some sort of an understanding to not go after the very, very high up officials. That's just a guess of mine. Something tells me that the rules of this conflict dictate that some people are made men, like in the mafia. You're not to try and arrest them or anything like that. These people are deemed untouchable, and I think those are the rules that seem to have been put forth, I guess, in this conflict. I don't know. I don't know. But you're going to get some statements. I think we'll get some statements from the usual people in Russia. We'll probably get some missile strikes into some military facilities in Kiev over the next couple of days, and that'll be that, and we'll get the negotiations, and they will happen, and who knows, we may even get a deal. We may even get some sort of an agreement from tomorrow. Most likely not, but I leave all options, all scenarios are open. We spend a lot of time trying to understand Trump. Everyone spends a lot of time, including myself, trying to understand Trump. What is Trump saying? What does he mean? What's going on? What's his strategy? I have a hard time understanding Putin sometimes, actually a lot of times, how Russia's gone about this war. It's very, very difficult to understand, but there it is. Oh boy. So Kellogg was on Fox News, and he said that this is indeed a proxy war. This is a proxy war, but he phrased it in a way that it was a proxy war between Europe and Russia, not so much the United States, which was an interesting way for Kellogg to phrase it. He said, Putin said, if you continue to supply Ukraine with weapons, we will consider you aggressors. He believes the situation has turned into a proxy war with NATO. Honestly, to some extent it is. Look at the aid provided by European countries. It's clear that Putin sees it that way, Kellogg said. Yes, look at the aid provided by European countries. Let's not look at the aid and everything else provided by the United States, because the United States is the mediator in all of this. This is not the first time that Kellogg has said this is a proxy war, by the way. A lot of people are jumping on this statement from Kellogg saying, oh my God, he has said it's a proxy war. I can't believe it. He said it's a proxy war. Kellogg has said it's a proxy war. He said it in the past before. And he still drafted his 22-point freeze plan, and he's still working with Ukraine, and he's still on the side of the Europeans and the collective West in Ukraine, and he still wants to see Russia destroyed, and he wants to see Russia defeated. Just because he said it's a proxy war doesn't mean that Kellogg has changed his position. As a matter of fact, the way he phrases it is as if this is a proxy war between Russia and the Europeans, and the United States, they're just trying to come to some sort of an agreement in this terrible proxy war between Europe and Russia. Tammy Bruce of the State Department. She was also on, I believe it was Fox News. And she said that the talks that are going to take place tomorrow, it's up to Russia and Ukraine to figure it out. And the United States is not going to drag this on forever as mediator. As mediator, the United States can only mediate so much. And they've gotten the two sides to the table. And they've done their job, and it's up to Ukraine and Russia now to figure this out. What more can the U.S. do, according to Tammy Bruce? This is not a long-term thing. This is not simply standard operating procedure. It's not going to go on for months or years, Bruce said when asked whether the U.S. had set a concrete timetable for the peace process. We have gotten people to the table, and they know that they know what we are requiring. But it's really up to them, she added. So there you have it, Russia and Ukraine. The U.S. has some demands, by the way. They've said that they have some issues and some demands that they want to discuss with both sides. But the main part of Tammy Bruce's statement was that, look, you guys need to figure it out. We've done all that we could to try and get to a peaceful settlement, because that's what the United States has always wanted, is a mediated peaceful settlement. And they've done their job. They've gotten Russia and Ukraine to the table. So the United States is going to walk away from this. They are going to walk away from this, as they should have done on January 21st. But they are going to make sure that maximum damage is inflicted on Russia. That's the way I see it. And I'm not saying the Trump administration. I'm not saying yes, the Trump administration. And I'm not saying no, the Trump administration. Once again, I don't know. But the establishment, the U.S. establishment, that still plays a big part in government and absolutely despises Russia and is now going to go after China. They're going to absolutely make sure that as they disengage from Project Ukraine to a certain extent, they'll still provide weapons and they'll still provide intel and Starlinks and all of these things. But as they start to disengage from Project Ukraine, they're going to make sure that Russia gets hit as hard as they can make Russia get hit. That's how I see it playing out. By the way, the UK, who is this guy? A British officer by the name of Army Colonel Richard Kemp. He said that the UK should help Ukraine get nukes. He said that the UK and Ukraine should work together on some sort of a nuclear weapons program. And he said this at the Black Sea Security Forum in Odessa. Yep, he said the UK should assist Ukraine in developing its own nuclear weapons as part of a strategic partnership. The statement was shared by Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Goncharenko, who was also attending the event. I believe that's the MP that was at the Odessa trade unions massacre, the terrorist act, the massacre of the trade unions in 2014. 2015. Yeah, he was at that massacre. At least video has him there. Now he's an MP, this guy, and he's attending conferences in Odessa. Merz is going to be traveling to DC to meet with Trump. Interesting. He is on his way to the United States. BlackRock Merz. No doubt he's going to talk to Trump about the Taurus missiles. The Guardian claims that the finance minister of Germany, a lot of reports are saying that the finance minister of Germany has blocked the Taurus missiles going to Ukraine. The Guardian says that the Taurus missiles are not going to go to Ukraine, not yet. But I'm saying bullocks. That's my viewpoint on this. If Russia falls for this and they actually believe that, I mean, I imagine they have the intel, but who knows anymore? Who knows if they have the intel? But I would guess that they have the intel to know if the Taurus missiles are in Ukraine or not. But if anyone believes that the Taurus missiles are not in Ukraine or that they've been stopped by the German finance minister because of costs, they say because it's just too expensive to have the Taurus missiles in Ukraine. I don't even understand what that means. But anyone that believes that the Taurus missiles are not in Ukraine and are not going to be fired, well, I don't know. I don't know. And I could be wrong again. I could be wrong about a lot of stuff that I'm saying, but I believe sooner or later, those Taurus missiles will get the green light from the United States, along with whatever surveillance or satellite imagery or targeting they need from the United States, and they'll be fired into Russia. That's just my guess. That's just a guess. But the reason Mertz is going to the United States, obviously, is to talk about Project Ukraine, to talk about escalation for Project Ukraine with Trump, and of course, to talk about long-range missile strikes into Russia. That is the only reason I can see BlackRock Mertz going to the United States at this exact moment in time that you have an attack into the Russian Federation, that you had these attacks on these trains, that you have the negotiations tomorrow. Why else with BlackRock Mertz, who has become, along with Macron and Stammer, one of the leaders in escalating to full-out war with the Russian Federation. Why else would he go to the United States if not for a meeting with Trump in order to get the United States on board to further escalate with Project Ukraine, as much as the Trump administration can escalate in Project Ukraine with Russia, escalate in Project Ukraine, given that Trump wants to present the picture that the United States is disengaging from Project Ukraine. The question is going to become, what is the way, what is the formula so that the United States can continue to somehow be involved in Project Ukraine, helping the Europeans and Ukraine to escalate with Russia, while it looks like the United States is not going to be involved in Project Ukraine. That's what they're going to try and figure out, I believe, is how do we get that formula so that Trump can say, I'm out of Project Ukraine, but the United States is still doing stuff in the shadows. Anyway, that's what's going on there. Today is elections in Poland. We have elections in Poland for president. Duda is gone, and we're going to have either a pro-NATO, pro-EU, pro-Donald Tusk guy, or we're going to have a pro-NATO, pro-EU, not Donald Tusk guy. It's between Karol Nawrocki, who is the anti-Donald Tusk, going up against the pro-EU Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski. It's very close, by the way. The race has become very, very close. We will find out who is going to become the new president of Poland. The one candidate, Nawrocki, he is the type of MAGA is what he's like the MAGA type of candidate for president. The Simeon Orban, Poland first, I guess, type of candidate, if you want to call him that. But I don't know how, because he's with Law and Justice, I don't know how exactly aligned he is with say, an Orban, because Orban is absolutely against the conflict in Ukraine and NATO continuously expanding and escalating with Russia and sanctions against Russia. I don't know what Nawrocki's position is on all of this, but Law and Justice, which was Duda's party and the government that was in power during most of the special military operation in Ukraine, they were absolutely pro-escalation with Russia. They were very hawkish with Russia, very much in favor of war with Russia, very much in favor of escalation and weapons and money to the Zelensky regime. Duda and Zelensky, they cannot keep their hands off of each other. Every time they saw each other, it was hugs all around, big, long bear hugs between Duda and Zelensky. I mean, Law and Justice was Ukraine's biggest supporter Zelensky's biggest supporter was Law and Justice. So I don't know. I don't know what this new candidate is like. Maybe he'll be different. Maybe he'll be more of the same. But the other guy is 100% pro Donald Tusk. Full on pro globalist EU Tusk. The other guy. So the other guy will be no surprises. There's no surprises with the other guy. It is full globalist. So that's something that's going to happen today. Politico is saying MAGA lost Romania. Can it win Poland? That's the article from Politico. That's the analysis from Politico. As if it was MAGA that lost Romania. Yeah, MAGA lost Romania. Okay. That's not how I remember it. I don't think that's how anyone remembers it. But if you want to say so, it was all MAGA's fault that Romania was lost. Will it happen in Poland? They're basically telling you, Politico is basically telling you that they're going to make sure that their candidate, the globalists, are going to make sure that their candidate wins. That's basically what Politico is saying, and they're going to blame it on MAGA, and they're going to say that the far right was not able to win, or MAGA was not able to win. Democracy won. When they get their candidate in as president of Poland, they're going to say democracy won. In the end of the day, the Polish people, they decided that they want democracy, not the tyranny of Trump and not the tyranny of Putin. Yeah, MAGA lost Romania. Okay, Politico. Not the do-over elections. Do over the elections, and let's do over the elections until we get our guy to finally win because of TikTok posts. Oh boy. So Palantir, a lot of people talking about Palantir, especially after this New York Times article was published. Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. Palantir is Peter Thiel, and the other guy is Alex. What's the other guy? Alex Karp. Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, and the name is, from what I understand, the name is from Lord of the Rings or something like that. That's how they came up with the name Palantir. Anyway, the New York Times is basically saying in this article that Trump is working with Palantir so that they can combine all the databases of the U.S. government so that they could essentially create a social credit system in the United States. That's basically what the New York Times is saying in this article. And it interviews a lot of Palantir employees, former employees, who got very upset with this plan. They didn't like it, but it's moving forward. It is moving forward, and according to the NYT, if you believe the NYT, and in this instance, it seems to be the case that the Trump administration is absolutely working with Palantir in order to merge the databases across all the government agencies. If you believe the NYT, then the reasoning for all of this is to create a better way to track and to monitor American citizens. The New York Times is saying the Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work with the government, spreading the company's technology, which could easily merge data on Americans throughout agencies. In March, President Trump signed an executive order calling for the federal government to share data across agencies, raising questions over whether he might compile a master list of personal information on Americans that could give him untold surveillance power. Mr. Trump has not publicly talked about the effort since, but behind the scenes, officials have quietly put technological building blocks into place to enable his plan. In particular, they have turned to one company, Palantir, the data analysis and technology firm. A type of social credit score for the United States, social credit system for the United States. I don't even know how the social credit system in China works, to be quite honest. I haven't been to China, would love to go, and I would be very interested to see if there really is a social credit system or if there isn't. I hear from some people there really isn't a social credit system. I hear from other people that there is a social credit system. My philosophy on all of these things is if you don't go see it for yourself, then you're never going to really know, are you? So it would be interesting to see if China really does have this type of social surveillance, a social credit system. And I don't know if this is what Trump is doing, if this is his plans, but according to the New York Times and their reporting, and knowing Palantir, the type of company that it is and what it does, it really is, if it really is looking to merge the databases across the government agencies, I can't see for what other reason other than to monitor and keep an eye on American citizens. Now, whether you use the tracking of American citizens throughout all government agencies in order to eventually, in the future, impose some sort of a credit score on them, only the future will be able to answer that question. But if Trump is going to build it, and he's going to create this unified database system, then in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, who knows who's going to be president of the United States? And when they decide to turn on the switch to say, okay, now we've got Minority Report pre-crime. Now we're at Minority Report pre-crime levels. Now I don't know, Anyway, that's the New York Times article, which is getting a lot of talk, a lot of discussion and debate about the article. There were riots in Paris yesterday because PSG won the Champions League for the first time. And boy, did they win. They won big. They beat Inter Milan, right? 5-0. Very, very big, very impressive victory. Of course, you have a lot of riots. People have been injured. I believe some people may even be deaths from these riots in Paris. I'm not sure, but there were injuries, a lot of damage, a lot of rioting. Football matches that are big football matches, you usually get rioting. I don't want to downplay it, but living in Europe, living in Athens, even in Cyprus, when we have big football matches, unfortunately, stuff gets broken, stuff gets burned down. Sometimes people get hurt. It's an awful thing. I don't like it, but it happens pretty much throughout Europe when you have big football matches. At least that's been my experience living in Europe. Anyway, not a good situation in Paris. A lot of damage being done from what is very, very positive news, which is that PSG won a Champions League, which is a big deal, a big trophy for PSG to take home. Unfortunately, a lot of damage and a lot of violence taking place in Paris from that victory. China's upset with Macron from what he said at the Singapore Shangri-La summit the other day, where he warned China. He warned them no North Korean troops on European soil, no nothing troops, no troops from China, no troops from anywhere on European soil, or at least not without my permission. And Macron was linking Project Ukraine to Taiwan. He said, if you guys meddle in Europe, then we're going to, he pretty much hinted, if you guys meddle in Europe, we're going to create a NATO in Asia, and we're going to meddle in Taiwan. China didn't like it. Reuters put out an article titled, China bristles at Macron, linking Ukraine defense to Taiwan threats. What else is China going to do about it? Nothing. Nothing. They're not going to do anything. They're going to issue some threats, and they'll leave it at that. I think Macron, I'm starting to come to the realization that Macron is just operating on a much higher level than everybody. I don't know. He's got a certain type of protection. I don't know, a Rothschild, Rockefeller protection. I don't know what it is. A Soros protection, maybe all three. He's got a certain protection that makes him immune to everybody and everyone, including Xi Jinping, except for Brigitte. I think Brigitte is operating on a level that's even one step above Macron. So I think Macron can pretty much do and say whatever he wants, and China's not gonna do or say anything to Macron at all. Nope, not gonna happen. What else? Can we get to a clown world? Let's get to a clown world. How are we doing on time? I can't even see because of the sun. Yeah, let me just wrap up the video. So Bono was on Joe Rogan. That was an interesting interview, having Bono on Joe Rogan. And what did Bono say? He said that because Elon Musk shut down USAID, he claimed that 300,000 people died as a result of Elon Musk shutting down USAID. That is the claim that Bono made. He said that he doesn't even have the facts. He's not even sure if this is factual, but this was taken from some sort of modeling, some sort of think tanker or university professor or Harvard professor. I don't know. Somebody modeled the possible or probable deaths from cutting off USAID, and they came up with this 300,000 number. And so Bono goes on Joe Rogan, and he repeats this, and then he asks Joe Rogan, what do you think? This is not like America. This is very un-American, Bono said. And Rogan, he took a middle-of-the-road answer. He said that the Trump administration and Elon Musk, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or whatever that expression is. And yes, terrible things are going to happen because you're not going to be able to get food or aid or medicine to various parts of the world. And Bono's claim was that they don't even have the keys to warehouses because the people were fired. So you have all of this food and all this medicine in warehouses from Gaza to, I think he said Sudan and Gaza and Houston. He said even Houston, and you have all of these supplies that people need to save lives, and they're just sitting in a warehouse rotting because the people that were fired, they had the keys with them. They had the keys, and so you can't open these warehouses. So everything just kind of rots. That was what Bono told Rogan. And Rogan said, look, unfortunately, you're right, he said. People are going to suffer. Maybe there's going to be deaths. Maybe terrible things like this are going to happen when you cut off USAID. But he then said, but you also know that USAID was laundering billions, if not trillions. What did he say? He said it was a money laundering operation. Billions of dollars are missing. Elon Musk said if any of this was done by a public company, the company would be delisted and the executives would be in prison. So Rogan, on the one side, he agreed with Bono. On the other side, he set Bono straight. And he said, look, at the end of the day, USAID was a massive, huge money laundering operation. That is what Rogan told Bono. And Elon Musk responded to a video clip of this conversation, and he said that in reference to Bono, he said he's such a liar / idiot. 0 people have died. That was Elon Musk's reply to Bono. Bono's no stranger of charities. He had the one foundation charity for HIV and AIDS, and that charity came under a lot of scrutiny as well. There were claims, rumors, claims, I can't confirm this, which state that a very small percentage of the money donated to the one campaign or the one foundation actually made its way to people that needed it. Most of the money was spent on salaries and stuff like that. Very little of the money actually went to the people that needed it most. So his charity has been scrutinized as well, and his tax status in Ireland. I believe a lot of Irish citizens, a lot of the Irish population, they don't like the fact that Bono and U2, they have a tax status, I believe, in the Netherlands, in order to save money, instead of having those taxes paid to the Irish government and to the Irish community. They prefer to take that money and keep it in the Netherlands to be exempt from taxes. They have some sort of business arrangement there. Anyway, this is someone in the comments will better be able to explain exactly what's going on with that. And that's not the point. That's not the point to all of this. The point is that Bono is going on Joe Rogan, and he's not presenting facts. He is not presenting facts. He's being very manipulative and very, very devious. He's an agent of chaos, man. He is an agent of chaos, Bono. No doubt about it. He's looking to undermine the sovereigntist. He's a globalist, so he's always looking to undermine any type of populism. And that's what he was doing on Joe Rogan. He actually said to Joe Rogan that he took an interest in America, and he loves America because America's an idea. Whenever I hear that, I just want to vomit. Whenever someone says America is an idea. No, America is not an idea. It's not an idea. America's a country. America's a country with a geography, with people, with a culture, with customs, with history, with a language. It's not an idea. America's not something that's just an idea. It's just kind of in the ether. It's in the clouds. It's an idea, you know? It's an idea. So I have an idea. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a bad idea. But the reason they say it's an idea, Biden says it, the Clintons would say it, all of the globalists like to say that America's an idea. And the reason they say that is because an idea can be messed around with. You can change around an idea. You can experiment with an idea. And if it fails, so what? It was just an idea. It failed. People got hurt. People got broke and bankrupt. But it was an idea. It was just an idea. That's why they say idea. But no, that's not what America is. And I absolutely hate it when people say that. It's not that. It's a country. It's a sovereign freaking country. It's a sovereign, tangible country with citizens and people and businesses and customs and holidays and sporting events and music and theater. It's a country. That's what it is. That is what it is. And laws. So yeah, he said it's an idea. America is an idea, according to Bono. Anyway, then he said about Zelensky that he talked a little bit about Ukraine, and he said that he knew Zelensky from before he was president, and Joe Rogan kind of joked around with him about Zelensky. Bono said Zelensky is actually a comedian. I met him before he became president, and Rogan said he played piano with his PP on television. And Bono joked around and said, what a piano that must have been, or something like that. Yeah, Bono's a huge supporter of Zelensky. That should tell you everything you need to know about how far Bono has fallen. Once upon a time, he was putting out great songs like Sunday Bloody Sunday and taking out a white flag during concert events, and now he's propping up Churchill #2. Pushing the globalist agenda. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. Did you catch Macron singing in Singapore? Macron was singing in Singapore. He was singing the song Comme des Habitudes in Singapore, which in French is a song about the onset of routine in a relationship. So that's Little Napoleon. Unfazed and unbothered with whatever's going on in the world. He's hanging out, chilling, and singing in Singapore. That's the video. The Duran.locals.com. Give this video a like, subscribe to this channel. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.